Hi. So yeah, let's talk about ExDoc. This also could be called 38 features of ExDoc. We're going to go through a lot because I really love this tool. I'm Flora. I live in New Orleans with my family, and that's my hometown. And I work at HCA, which is an extremely large American healthcare organization. For context, we had over 43 million patient encounters last year. If you want to see more numbers, you can go to this website. But most of that patient data flows to the application I work on, which is called Waterpark. Has anyone heard of Waterpark? I'm just curious. Okay. Cool. So Waterpark is a data integration engine that is a continuously available streaming system written entirely in Elixir. It's also a distributed database that never touches disk. And knock on wood, we have had zero downtime since it launched in spring of 2020. So I was starting at HCA last year. I was learning about Waterpark, and there was so much information to learn. On top of all of that, I had to learn about healthcare data, which, am I getting my slides messed up? There we go. That's the right slide. So has anyone worked with HL7 data, healthcare data? Yeah. Okay, so if you've worked with it, you know it's a lot because it's a very old standard invented before the internet, and everyone implements it differently. And when you times that by the hundreds or thousands of facilities we have at HCA, it gets really complicated really fast. If you want to know more about healthcare data, you can watch this talk by my colleague Scott Southworth. And if you want to do work with HL7 with Elixir, we've open sourced a couple of libraries, including Elixir HL7. And in this talk, he kind of goes over the features of it. And I think I forgot to mention that if you want to learn more about Waterpark, watch this talk by Brian Hunter, which goes through the architecture, or come to New York next month because I will be talking about maybe do streaming without dependencies with Madison Brown. So, all right, wanted to mention that because this is not a Waterpark architecture talk, but it is talk to me about it in the conference. Okay, so there's so much information out there at HCA Waterpark that we need to know, and it's everywhere, right? So conversations and specs and comments and commit messages and developer docs. And when I started working, I was just constantly taking notes and trying to find places to put them. And as I got deeper and deeper into this project, it started to feel like this battle against entropy because kind of every time I wrote something down, the code would change and all this like really painstaking writing would be undone. And so then I got really, Brian Hunter on our team talks a lot about this concept of dev, biz, and ops joy. And that's what we should be striving for when we make software. Dev joy is being productive, low friction ways of doing work. Biz joy is faster delivery, lower risk. Ops joy is things running smoothly, no pagers on the weekend. And so kind of we got back to that and said, okay, sharing knowledge better will help all of this joy. And so we started to think of knowledge kind of in a mathy, functional way. There's the constants, hard-coded strings, and then there's the most of what's in a code base, which is variable and changing. So you kind of want to write docs defensively, expecting them to change, making them brittle, making them visible. So this is all the background about how we got the approach to ExDoc. All right. Let's go through the ExDoc features. So it is designed to handle this tension of kind of constant and variable knowledge. And you know, it's used for the Elixir and Erlang docs, so we all use it. And I kind of divided the features into these categories of making it easy to do different things. So let's start with sharing knowledge. There's a lot of the out-of-the-box features. In case no one, we all know you install it. All my examples are going to be with Mix because I write in Elixir. You can use rebar or CLI2. Add it to your deps. Also make sure you have the most recent version because they have put a lot of new features out this year, and they're really great. And then to generate locally, you run mixdocs. And one thing that I really like to use is mixdocs-open, so you can immediately see what you did. By default, the output directory is doc. You can also overwrite that. Maybe you want to stick it in priv. That's an easy thing to do. Or when you're writing, you can use the CLI to put it somewhere else. You want to make sure you're putting your assets in the right place so that you don't have broken images in your README, and that's just a map. And it automatically generates both HTML and EPUB formats. If you only want one of them, you can tell it that in Mix, or you can also, there's CLI for that. So let's go over some HTML features. Of course, we know it's responsive because everyone's probably checked this on their phone. I just really like this one keyboard shortcut that will, is it going to do it for me? We'll collapse the, CU collapses the sidebar. We've got dark mode. You can change that here in the menu or just use the N keyboard shortcut. You can add a logo. Note that when you add a logo, that URL is going to go to your homepage URL. So that's a nice thing because you can have your GitHub URL separately. API references by default, but if you want to turn that off, you can do that as well. All right, configuring EPUB. If you didn't realize that you could access EPUB, just check the bottom of all of the pages, and you'll see there's this little download EPUB version, which is really helpful. When you get it, it comes out like this little lovely book. You can customize that a couple ways. You can choose what language you want, which is any valid BCP47. You can also override that. You can choose a cover image if you want to. I wouldn't necessarily do it because it's a way of hard coding a version in, but it is a thing you can do if you want to give someone your docs and make them look pretty. Okay, so that's sharing, things that make sharing better. Finding information. So tooltips, we've all seen, are a nice thing to mouse over. You can, and the nice thing about it is it'll give information from other packages too. I'm going to go over some shortcuts real quick. There's a couple new ones. Question mark for shortcuts. Version select is nice because you can do V and use your arrow keys to go up and down. I mentioned that today. This doesn't work. This only works on hex docs, I believe. It doesn't work locally. Okay, so yeah, G goes to a hex doc package, which is really great. I'm just highlighting one of our other libraries, Elixir MMLP. So if anyone wants to use that for healthcare, please check it out. Yes, okay. So, and then search bar is just searching within the app you're already in. A couple more things about search. So autocomplete is enabled. By default, you can turn it off if you want to. Not sure why, but that's a thing you can do. Full text search also is, you can configure the specific URL that you want. If you're hosting, the search string will be printed to the URL. It defaults to the auto-generated ExDoc page, but this is something else you can configure. All right, we're gonna get to a lot of the fun stuff now that I think is really fun. So I don't know if anyone does this a lot. Some of my people on the team didn't know this, but you can, anytime you see this little click this little slash thing, you can click and go to exactly the part of the docs that you are looking at in GitHub, which is really nice. And I just want to make sure everyone knew how to do that. That is if you use a public support hosting service that's supported, you don't have to do very much for it. It's automatic. If you don't, if you're internal or a different source, that's totally fine. You can use this source URL pattern and configure that way. Okay, I think that, auto-linking to docs. You just put stuff in backticks. There are a lot of different ways you can do it. You can do modules, you can do callbacks and types, and there's anchor tags and markdown, whatever you want you can link. And I really try to do that a lot because, again, it prevents things from breaking as much because it'll tell you if it breaks, and you don't only have to update your information in one place. You can also set a custom link to ExDoc on my links to dependencies documentation, but you can configure the link here. Also, sometimes you might want to skip auto-generating links if you're referencing things that are internal, so you can do that. You can use a string or regex or however you want to do it. Okay. I'm trying to get to the end when I have my Livebooks, so we're going to keep this moving. So organizing information, I find metadata really helpful. You can do this really cool deprecated. One thing to know that took us a minute was you can have multiple module docs. So don't try to put them all together. So this is our deprecated key. You can also do this since, which if you put it on a module, will put since, whatever the version, on all the functions. You can also put it in a function doc. Sorry. And then you can also do these kind of lists of tags for module docs. Okay, umbrella projects, which I don't use, so I'm just telling you what the features are. ExDoc supports them. By default, running mixed docs will generate a single doc for all child apps. You can ignore some if you want to. And then if you want to generate them individually, you run this command, and you'll get documentation per child app. All right, if you want to shorten some names, I know at Waterpark we have some pretty long module names. You can do that. So let's say you have this HL7 Lexers. You don't want to see all the Lexer stuff. You just do nest modules by prefix, and there you go. Now it's a little bit nicer to look at. Right. Filtering, also really important. There's several ways to filter. We all know about module doc false. You can also use string regex or functions, and that's something that you put, again, into your mix. And so now that's gone. Not a huge fan of this necessarily, because again, things could disappear without you knowing. But I'm sure there's ways that get around that. Okay. Also, a very small thing that I think is cool is you can change the label for up here where it says extras. You can change that if you want to say learn or something else. Yeah, it could be cool. All right, groups. Lots of different kinds of groups. You can do groups for extras, which just means markdown files. When you do a group, you put the name and organize things underneath it. It's the same principle for modules. You can put things deprecated. Again, I wouldn't put those in a string. I wouldn't put it in a list like that. But you can use a regex or whatever you want to do there. Also, grouping functions is pretty cool. We don't really need it in this library, but it's a way to, as you can see, we have these little ADT subheadings. So if you wanted consistency, maybe throughout your modules or API or something, they'd be able to sort them within the module itself, which is pretty cool. All right. Let's go to enhancing ExDoc, which I feel like is the fun part. I'm not going to cover Markdown because I think we all know that stuff. You can choose different Markdown parsers, but let's move on to cheat sheets, which is a kind of Markdown file. If you want to know this, ExDoc has a sample cheat sheet. I would recommend just looking at that, but in their docs. But all of these things are available to you. Paragraph blocks, tables, headers. You can use that. Admonition blocks are really helpful. So, for example, Elixir HL7, we're introducing a new API, which we're really psyched about, and we want people to be able to see that. So instead of just having this text up here, we can put in an admonition block, and now it's really easy to see, hey, you have a new API. You can do different colors of blocks, too. Again, I think there's a tab on ExDoc that's nothing but admonition blocks. You can learn that. Tab sets are a thing that are another way of organizing information. So instead of having this big, long thing of text that we have to scroll through, we can just put them in tabs. It's really easy to go through it. I'm a little iffy about this because you are hard coding things into it. But I think usability-wise, it helps a lot. And it's a really simple thing to do. Okay, syntax highlighting. By default, Elixir and Erlang, of course, are included. But you can use Makeup to add other highlighting. So if you want to make your JSON look as good as JSON can look, then you can use that. If you want to show math, you can use, you kind of put this script in this before closing body tag, and then follow the kdex to make whatever math you need. We don't need that in Elixir HL7, but I'm sure other libraries do. Mermaid diagrams are also supported. It's the same thing. You put in this little script, and then I would recommend going to mermaid.live because they have lots of really awesome examples. You can play around with it, make it the way you like it, and then you can put it in. This is an example of one of the Mermaid Live tutorial things and how it looks in our Markdown file on ExDoc. Also a reminder that that is also on Livebook. So, it might be better to do it on Livebook. It's more interactive, but it's nice to have it on a Markdown file as well, so you can just view it from the browser. Okay, Vagallight, another cool thing to enhance your docs. Go to this website to see all of their tutorials. They have a whole lot of really amazing examples. Again, we don't need these for Elixir HL7, but they're still cool. Same principle, just putting this little script, and then we just need this little Vagallight backticks and put in whatever you generate from their online generator. So that is, and also it's on Livebook, and more fun on Livebook. It's more interactive there. So let's get to exploring. So talking about Livebook, you can, in ExDoc, there's this option of doing a run in Livebook instance, which you can configure. You go to livebook.dev, and you create your own little run Livebook badge. That's a thing, and then you put it there if you're interested in doing more with that. And let's see if I can do, I was going to do a demo. I think I might just do the video because I know y'all want to. Okay. So this is, oh no, I'm not. That looks, okay, we're going to do the demo. What are we going to do? Is it gonna be happy for me? Maybe. Okay, cool. So Also, this is all local. these Elixir HL7 docs are not up on Hex yet. We're still modifying them, so they may change. So this is where you'd put the little Run in Livebook button. You can see I have these demo guides here on the sidebar, a little markdown file. This is where you can see some of the syntax highlighting examples. You can also, all right, what do we got? So I just put a bunch of Mermaid charts in here because there's a lot of ones I hadn't seen before, and maybe you will see some that you think are fun and inspire you for your docs, especially the colorful ones. So all of these are options that are really easy to make on mermaid.live. Vagallight 2, let's go back up to the top. So, there's the simple ones. There's this awesome emoji one. And then they get more complex, and they do get interactive. So this one has an interactive legend. You can click around, and it'll show you different stuff. There's some with maps. This one also is interactive. You can, change the year, and stuff moves around. It's all just in Markdown. Really easy to do. Okay, now let's get to the actual live book. So it's great. A lot of y'all haven't worked with HL7, which is perfect. So HL7 is, kind of it takes some getting used to. So instead of me talking to you a whole lot about the structure of HL7, I can demo what it looks like when it's parsed through Elixir HL7. So let's see if it's gonna, there we go. So there's a string of an HL7 message. You can't see the line breaks, but that's fine. So we're gonna first parse it, and you'll see it has HL7 messages that can have multiple segments or repetitions of a segment, and this is what we turn them into. So, which we do a lot, and then the next one would be getting just one segment. So I'm like, this is the 3, and I have that one. Then you get down to the field, and this one has multiple components, and then you get down here. And this is all pulling from an example file module that we have. So it's a faster way, I think. I mean, I know that it's similar to what a doc test does, but it's more interactive. So you can play around and say, actually, I want to get, different. That's not the one I wanted. I want this one. It's all instant. So you can generate a path to a field from a string, which is really nice when we're doing some of our Booleans. We have this cool label function where you can, it makes it more readable. If you pull out MSH7, then you can just say message date time. And so when you're reviewing PRs, it helps your brain remember what these things mean. And then you can also, you could also use this as an internal tool if it is going to, I'll just do this. Yeah, let's see if I had this up before, but forgot. Okay, so let's see if this is going to work for me. Awesome. So it's very simple. You could just put in a field, click a button, and it would work. And so that could be something that you could give to be in your docs. And so not only could you see it, but if you deployed it through Livebook teams, you could have analysts or whoever else on your team see it as well. Okay, well, that was the demo. I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue. Oh, how about that? Great. Okay, so a little bit more resources that I love about documentation that are not ExDoc. Nicholas Henry has a Elixir-specific docs talk at ElixirConf 2021. It was great. This book, Living Documentation by Cyril Mathrer, is amazing. I highly recommend that. Elixir Docs has a good page on writing documentation. Thank you to these people, especially Scott and Brian Hunter, who are wonderful, the entire Waterbuck team. And Brian would want me to remind you to just find the joy in what you're doing because, coding is fun. That's it.